it's any given week in this league. Just coming off a win, and we got great players, so we got a tough task, and they're coming here with one to beat in division. We're wearing whatever jerseys, and they're gonna have something to play for, and they still do. So they're gonna be a tough challenge. And I think it's, like I said, any given week, so you gotta prepare on a short week and kind of win that battle.
Drake Maye, the MVP favourite, alongside Matthew Stafford, 200 to 1 before the season, now in the 3 to 1 range, and he's got a very favourable matchup, Matthew, against the New York Jets as he comes in as your QB3 ahead of Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, he's been nothing short of fantastic. It's worth noting that in the last 2 games, the Jets have given over 20 fantasy points to Joe Flacco and Dylan Gabriel. And so now here comes red-hot Drake Maye, the betting favorite for MVP as well. In games in which the Patriots have scored 25 points, Maye is averaging 24 fantasy points. When the Patriots score at least 25, Maye gets at least 24, and the Patriots are tied for the highest implied team total in Week 11. It's basically DraftKings is saying around 28 is what they expect the Patriots to do here. So I need Drake Maye to score a ton of points in my uphill battle against producer Steven as I try to. He's my quarterback. So just if you have something you want to root for tonight, root for Drake Maye to have like 6 touchdowns.
Yeah, it seems implausible Dylan Gabriel was able to compile that many fantasy points against any collection of sentient human beings in any walk of life, really. But no, it should be a big game for Drake Maye. His he already kind of had his initial big moment on the national stage against the Bills on Sunday Night Football, but this is really, I think this is going to be the kind of coronation type of night where he does whatever he wants against the Jets.
I sure hope so. By the way, and also just for America's sake, because after Broncos Raiders last week,
a nation is scarred.
Yes, we need something to cleanse the palate.
Even though the Jets are,
I know.
Even though the Jets are a really bad football team in the NFL right now, if Drake Maye goes out there on that prime time and puts up like 5 touchdowns, I think that's, as far as the betting odds go, that's really going to put him out there with this MVP. I liken it similar to Lamar's first MVP when they went to L.A. and they weren't that great of a team, and he put up 5 touchdowns on them, and then it was like over. If Drake Maye does that tonight, man, see you later.
If you're Connor Rogers, what are you doing right now? In the sense of like,
I'd be drinking.
Right, that's my point. Like, how do you prepare for a game like this where you it's just a disastrous? And like, are you just like, I'm just gonna get drunk? I gotta go on to SNY and I gotta talk about this for a couple hours tonight before and after. Like, are you just getting loaded, or are you like, are you still optimistic?
They already know what they're gonna say on that show.
Is that what
they say it every week. They have to say the same.
Do you think he just recycled? Did he say to some PA, "Give me my notes from week 6"? That was good.
I will say there is kind of a weight lifted because the season has descended into farce, so you can just kind of have some fun with it. So tune into our friends at SNY to see Connor Rogers' thoughts. Staying in the AFC East.
Tune in for his thoughts. Stay for Todd Zeal. That's what you want. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, maybe if you stick around long enough on SNY, Todd Zeal will give you some thoughts about the Mets bullpen pickups in the offseason.
Just think they should use Todd Zeal. He's an Emmy Award winning, a 2-time Emmy Award winner. I just feel like Todd Zeal should be on the Jets broadcast tonight.
Use him more.
Yes.
Staying in the AFC East, the sneaky kind of feel good is aggressive for the Dolphins, but they have picked it up under Mike McDaniel. They're playing hard for him, and Tua Tagovailoa, who's not had a good year, but has had some good moments recently, including against the Bills, and now he gets the most favourable matchup of all matchups against his Commanders.
Yeah, and with Tua, it's like even when he plays good, like as far as regular football goes, it still doesn't mean anything in fantasy. Like last week versus the Bills, he played good. That's why they won, right? But he was quarterback 18 on the week. But this week right here versus Matthew Berry's Washington Commanders, who he has Jalen Waddle on the love list. So I'm going to put Tua there because that's the guy throwing them the passes. Washington allows the second most fantasy points per game to quarterbacks. Quarterbacks have thrown for at least 264 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions in 4 straight games against these Washington Commanders, and have given up an average of 38.5 points per game in that span, Matthew. If Tua's going to get back to those good fantasy days of a couple years ago, this is definitely the time to do it.
years from now, we will notice that there are a lot of kids in Madrid that grew up thinking Tua Tagovailoa was the greatest quarterback of all time, was the Joe Montana of his era.
Yeah. We got Spanish kids wearing Tua jerseys, German kids wearing Tyler Algier jerseys.
Look, when they're making their all-time teams for over there, the quarterbacks are going to be Tua, and the 2 running backs are going to be Jonathan Taylor and Tyler Algier, because that's who they saw score the touchdown.
Yeah, that's right. A lot of kids wearing Tyler Algier jerseys to school overseas. Yeah.
All right. Well, maybe
Tua Nation in Madrid.
Maybe some kids in Jacksonville can buy some Justin Herbert jerseys, because it might be a better alternative to their quarterback at the moment. But very favourable matchup for Herbie fully loaded, Matthew, against the Jags.
Since your Jaguars, Jay.
My Jaguars.
Yeah, of course. You and producer Stevens. Yeah, you and producer Stevens Jaguars since week 5. Literally no team in the NFL has given more fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks than the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's been tough for the past 5 quarterbacks to face Jacksonville. Scored at least 26 fantasy points, and you're like, well, they must have faced some real heavy hitters.
Davis Mills,
Geno Smith. Those are 2 of the people that scored at least 26 fantasy points against the Jaguars. Davis Mills and Geno Smith. Anyway, so I have Justin Herbert as a top 6 quarterback. Seems like he got through the injury. We expect Gadsden back as well. Full compliments of starters for Justin Herbert. Rocket ship emoji.
Yes. Okay. Regardless of who the quarterback is for Houston, I think it's probably going to be Davis Mills. That's what the market is reflecting at the moment. But if it's Davis Mills or if CJ Stroud does make a faster than expected recovery, I think they have a very favorable matchup against a Jags secondary that has had no answers for everyone. The Jags and the Commanders give up the most explosive pass plays in the league. And Davis Mills,
Tennessee, you mean, not
sorry,
Jacksonville.
Tennessee.
The Titans.
Yeah, the Jags badness is still lingering on the mind. But Davis Mills showed that he could get the ball to Nico Collins, which is really the main thing in this passing offense. So 2 quarterback league. I think that Davis Mills is not the most appetizing option in the world, but I think there are probably worse options. Let's look at others receiving votes, and my arch nemesis Matthew headlines at Joe Flacco.
Yeah, look. In 4 starts with the Cincinnati Bengals, he's averaging 25 fantasy points per game. He's had multiple touchdown passes in every game. Quarterbacks facing the Steelers this year, averaging 290 passing yards. And then Marcus Mariota against the world beater Tua Tagovailoa. He's had 16 fantasy points or more in 3 of his 4 starts. By the way, the Dolphins, only one team in the NFL gives up more rushing touchdowns to opposing quarterbacks than the Dolphins. So there's a good chance Mariota gets in for one as well. You see it right there on your screen. It's my QB12 this week. If you need a streamer, you could do worse than Marcus Mariota. Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and Rotoworld.com. And I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched. Or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest Roto-World fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.